and welcome back to my channel. My name is Sunflower Sims, and today I am building a new family home for the Goths. So I decided that their house was going to be really difficult to renovate, and I had this idea for a Gothic Victorian home. I wanted to make it like a really deep purple, but I ended up not being able to. I'll insert a picture of my inspiration for the front of the house. I followed it pretty close to the front of the house, but the back of the house and the sides I kind of made up a little bit. The interior completely made up. I do that a lot, is I'll try and recreate or take a lot of inspiration or just try and recreate the fronts of houses and then come up with the rest by myself. So I'll definitely make sure to insert that picture. I know in my last video I said I would, and I totally forgot about it. So I'll make sure to this time. Anyway, so I was just playing around with the roofing here, trying to find a roof that was going to fit well on this little diagonal section here. But I ended up finding one that worked really well, and I think it fit perfect. So this house ends up being, I believe, 3 bedrooms with a study room with like bookshelves and a computer and desk and everything. So it is a smaller home than I wanted the Goths to have, but I think it works just fine. I think that it's fine the way it is. It looks a lot bigger than what it actually is, I think, unfortunately. So here I was trying to do a purple color, but it just wasn't quite working, so I do end up changing it to siding. I played around for a very long time with different colors. I wanted it to be a very dark color scheme. Again, I wanted like a very rich, dark purple, very vampy kind of looking. What you would probably think of when you think of like a dark purple lipstick. That's like what I was going for, but unfortunately we didn't have siding like that, and it was kind of hard to find paint that was like that too. So I just ended up going with like this really dark blue or whatever. This is blue or gray, more blue than gray, I guess. I do use a lot of Strangerville on this house, so I use mostly Strangerville doors and windows. I recently bought that pack. I am pretty early in playing through it because I've been doing a lot of building lately. So I haven't gotten very far in playing it, but I definitely like a lot of these items. They're perfect for these Victorian style houses, which is great. This little area with the big windows, I imagine, is like a modern addition to the house. And that is what ends up being that study room. So here I am just working on the back of the house, finishing up the roofing, trying to put around, I don't know what this is called, but this border or whatever between the floors, the levels of the house. I was going through and putting that in and just changing up the roof trims. I wanted to keep it very dark, even though the house itself, the siding has like the white end caps or whatever. I wanted to keep everything else pretty dark. So I use dark windows. I make sure to use all dark trims. I end up changing the roof so it's darker, and I think it turned out really cool. I was kind of going for, like I said, a Gothic Victorian home, but I just wanted something very, almost vampiric. Is that even a word? Like vampire? I'm not sure if that's a word. I'll feel really stupid if it's not. But yeah, I wanted it to look very dark, almost like vampires lived here. I don't know. I picture the Goths, even though Bella Goth has like the good trait and stuff, I picture them to be kind of like the Addams family. I think a lot of people do. And the makeover for Cassandra Goth, I went for a little bit of a Wednesday Addams vibes with the hair and makeup. Well, a lot of it with the hair and makeup, and the rest of the outfits maybe a little less. I picture her to be very girly, but kind of like, she has her girly side to her. Her room ends up being pretty bright, a lot brighter than I anticipated. But I picture her to be kind of moody and try and put on this hard exterior and this dark shell with like the dark makeup and hair, and just tries to put on this tough appearance. So you'll see here me playing with the floor plan a little bit, but I did cut out most of it. This floor plan was super hard to do, and it's a little wonky, but I think it actually worked. I think I made it work. It was a bit of a challenge, but I think it works okay. So I did cut it out because that took me so long to do, and my videos are already fairly long, I'm aware. So the bedrooms, I do end up changing the upstairs floor plan a little bit to make the bedrooms a little bit bigger, give some better spaces for Cassandra and not Mortimer. What's the kid's name? Why am I blanking on the kid's name? Alexander? I think his name is Alexander Goth. Yeah. So in here, I was just going ahead and working on the dining room, trying to figure out the spacing with the floor plan a little bit. And then I moved back onto the exterior. I put in a thing for a fireplace, and I wanted to match everything to the rest of the house. I do leave this part of the house unroofed, I believe. I'm not quite sure. I believe it stays unroofed, like on the front there, with just that like flooring top. And then I was just playing around with the front porch. I added these spandrels. I thought it looked kind of goofy without like a roof or anything on top of it, but I think it worked out okay. But yeah, so this is about it for the exterior for the actual build. Now, in terms of the actual house, now it's just a lot of landscaping. I wanted it to look kind of overgrown, some color, but not too much. Just pretty overgrown, lots of rocks. I do end up giving them something pond-like. I use a fountain and try and hide it and disguise it to look like a pond a little bit. And then they just got this big grassy, mossy thingy on the other side of the house there, with some flowers in it and some rocks. I wanted it to look a little bit landscape, but still fairly messy and the Goth family, dark and overgrown. And here I am just playing around with a entryway sidewalk, and then I thought about putting the floor roof all the way around, but I decided against it. I felt like it looked goofy either way, but I liked it better this way. And here I am putting in that pond. As you can see, I used some live edit object plants and some hidden plants and rocks for this, and I put some like in the fountain, raised them up too in order to make it work. And then I just was playing around with the plants here. I do go with this dark green that almost matches the grass, this murky one. I think it works fine though for a pond. Normally I would use one a little bit clearer, but I think the murky one fits. And then I do put a green wallpaper on the inside there to make it match as best as possible to the pond. And yes, as you can see, just again keeping the landscape kind of plain, not too colorful, lots of just green and overgrown. Working on the backyard here, I don't do too terribly much back here. I again put in some more of this ground cover, and then I do add in a swing set for the sun. I thought about putting in a tree, but there was already that giant tree that was like sitting in the world landscape. So I end up not doing a tree back there or much landscaping in general, but I think it ends up being just fine. So yeah, so they did announce the new pack, Star Wars pack. To be honest, I probably won't be buying it. I'm not a huge Star Wars fan, so I don't know that I'll be doing builds for that at the moment, unless like I find out that they're coming out with a lot of cool items, in which case maybe I'll buy it. Strangerville, I finally bought. I'm missing vampires and Realm of Magic, and then I'm missing a handful of stuff packs, but I do have all the expansions. I bought The Sims 4 when it came out back in 2014, like right when it came out, but I didn't like truly start playing it until within the past probably 2 years or so, just because there weren't that many expansion packs out, and so I was kind of bored, so I just didn't play it a lot. But now that there's a lot more expansion packs, this is what I play. I don't play The Sims 3 too much anymore because it runs super slow and it's super sad and laggy. But yeah, I do put in a little gardening area. I don't put in plants, but I figured that maybe Bella could start a garden, or maybe Cassandra would do it. I feel like Cassandra could do a garden. I'm not sure. So anyway, there's like those gardening plots back there. I struggled to find a rug that was going to fit this room well, so I ended up sizing up this fuzzy rug, and I think it worked really well in that space. And I just chuck a little piano in the corner there, again with another small rug. I use, again, a lot of Strangerville, and I use a fair amount of Vintage Glamour in this house as well. I love the Vintage Glamour pack now that I have it. I got it probably back in like June, and I don't know what I did without it, to be honest. So moving on into the living room, I kept the dark theme going. with really dark furniture. I do have lighter accents here and there, like you'll see with like the white fuzzy rug in the dining room and this lighter gray rug here in the living room. So it is a smaller space, but I think it works just fine, and I think it would fit their family comfortably. I didn't make this house too terribly cluttered either. I picture the Goths to be very formal, tidy people. They're living in this big fancy house. They probably have a maid who comes. Maybe, well, probably not a butler because I don't have a bedroom for like an in-home butler. But definitely a maid at least to help clean up some of the house. And then I put in some of these debug lights because the room was really, really dark. So I used some of those just to brighten it up a little bit just so you can see. Then I go ahead and throw this giant urn in the corner and put a plant in it. I like doing that a lot. I think it's a really cool planter when you use Move Objects On. That's another thing. When you download this house, make sure to use bb.moveobjects.on or else you will not be able to place this. Well, you'll be able to place it, but you'll miss some of the items. They'll end up in your family's inventory and it'll be kind of a mess because I use the Move Objects sheet a lot. Pretty much that's pretty standard for every build download from me. I've heard other simmers recommend that any build you're going to download from the gallery, you're going to want to do that for as well. Moving on into the kitchen again, keeping with the dark color scheme. But this ends up being, I think, the brightest room on the main floor, surprisingly. And I think it's because I used a really bright light in this room. But again, I think it worked out. I give them a nice island. This was kind of an interesting kitchen to work with. Typically, I would do like a kitchen table in here, but I didn't really have that opportunity. So I do believe I just put in a couple of bar stools in the kitchen. I believe these countertops are from Parenthood, if I can see correctly, and if my memory serves me correctly. I use the Parenthood counters, and I use a lot of cool kitchen stuff in terms of appliances and some of the accessories and decorations around the kitchen. This light ends up just going, and I end up switching this light out for a different one that makes the room a lot brighter. I believe I stick with that one. That's also a light that gets used in the some of the bedrooms upstairs, which I think is part of the reason why Cassandra's bedroom turned out brighter than what I actually thought it was going to be, was because I put a very bright light in there. Anyway, putting a little bit of clutter in the kitchen. This is probably the most cluttered room in the house, but I feel like that's standard in most kitchens. You always got something on the counters, something or another. So yeah, and then I was struggling to figure out what to do with this corner over here. I guess we're moving back onto pots and pans. I was struggling to figure out what to put in that corner. I couldn't find anything small enough to put in the space. I tried putting up paintings, ended up putting one in the living room, and I finally ended up going with this globe bar. I thought it worked really well. I love the globe bar so much. It is so tiny and it's easy to put in any Sims home. It is so tiny. It's literally like 2 squares. 1 square, but like 2 if you count like the interaction space that they have set out or whatever. But yeah, so I'm obsessed with the globe bar. I think it's so cool. I love it. I hate that you have to have bars in your houses if you want your Sims to be able to drink nectar or juice or anything, because in reality you would have your nectar and juice in your cabinets at home or in your fridge at home. I don't know. It just drives me nuts. But yeah. So here we are working on the upstairs a little bit. I'm not sure if this is the final floor plan. I would have to look, but it's kind of moving around a little fast. The master bedroom actually has a walk-in closet, which I don't typically do, but I think it worked out pretty cool. I liked it, especially because this is kind of like a very narrow bedroom. I didn't have a ton of room to include everything I wanted to, so they have their dresser in their walk-in closet. Actually, I put in a closet in the walk-in closet. I think that worked really well. Why do I keep saying that worked really well? Apparently that's one of the sayings I say a lot. I'm sorry. I'm probably so annoying to listen to, but like, hey, I'm having fun here, so we're just gonna keep doing it. Anyway, merge 2 ottomans together over there to create like that little window bench thing, and then moving on into the walk-in closet. I believe I use a closet from City Living. It's pretty narrow and tiny, and then I just add clothing racks, men and women, for Mortimer and Bella. But yeah, the bathroom, I end up copying and pasting this bathroom to be the main hallway bathroom as well because I got really lazy. fun fact. So, not one of my proudest builder moments, but it happened. I'm not going to deny that part. Yeah. So I am just cluttering up the bathroom sink a little bit here with toothbrushes and a soap dispenser, adding a mirror, all the usual stuff, throwing in some bath mats, trying to hold back a yawn. I yawn, I swear, as soon as I sit down to do a voiceover is when I start yawning so much, and it drives me absolutely bonkers, and I have to stop recording, do my yawn, and then start recording again. It drives me absolutely insane. So here I am working on Alexander's bedroom. He does have a tiny little bedroom, but I think it's fine. He's got a backyard to play in. He doesn't need a giant bedroom. Although you would think the Goths would have a bigger space. But, it's fine. I clutter it up a little bit, add some, what are those things called that came with kids' room stuff? The critters, the void critters. I put void critter posters up. As you can see, this wallpaper looked a lot darker at first in Cassandra's room, but it ends up being really a lot lighter when I put in this bright light. So her room is a lot brighter than I anticipated, but I think it brings out the girly side of her that I think is deep down inside that maybe she just doesn't like to show to everybody. So here we are. I'm going to copy over the bathroom, and then we're going to be moving on to the screenshots in just a moment. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe and give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed. Thank you guys so much, and I'll see you all in my next video. Bye!